In the small, sleepy town of Willow Creek, the houses lined the streets like old friends, each one holding secrets behind its closed door. At the end of Elm Street stood a quaint, ivory-covered cottage that belonged to Mr. Kirby, an elderly man who had lived there for decades. The neighbors regarded him with a mix of respect and caution. He was known for his meticulous garden and the strange hours he kept. Avery, a newcomer to the neighborhood, was determined to befriend everyone. She often baked cookies and walked them over, hoping to bond over the smell of fresh chocolate. Mr. Kirby, however, was elusive. His door remained shut and his curtains drawn, as if he lived in a different world. One rainy afternoon, curiosity got the better of her. Avery knocked on his door, the sound swallowed by the patter of raindrops. To her surprise, it creaked open, revealing a dimly lit foyer. Mr. Kirby stood there, his face shadowed but his eyes sharp. He welcomed her inside, his voice gravelly yet warm. As they chatted, she noticed odd things. A faded newspaper clipping framed on the wall, the headline reading, "Mysterious Disappearance in Willow Creek." Mr. Kirby's expression darkened as he spoke about the town's history, his stories peppered with eerie details about people who had vanished over the years. Over the next few weeks, Avery felt drawn to him. He shared tales of his life, each one more bizarre than the last, but she began to sense an underlying tension. The way he avoided certain questions, the way his hands trembled when he mentioned the past. One evening, she decided to bake him a special pie, hoping to break through the veil of his secrecy. As she walked to his house, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the street. She knocked, but there was no answer. Concerned, she peered through the window, and what she saw made her heart race. The living room was filled with jars of various sizes, some filled with what looked like dirt. Others held strange trinkets and photos, all labeled with names. As she squinted, her breath caught in her throat. One jar had her name on it. Panic surged through her. She turned to leave, but the door creaked open behind her. Mr. Kirby stood there, his face unreadable. "Avery," he said softly. "I was wondering when you'd stop by." Feeling a chill creep down her spine, she forced a smile. I brought you a pie." He stepped closer, his gaze flickering to the jars. "Ah, I see you've discovered my collection." What are they?" she stammered, hating hearing the fear in her voice. "They are memories, dear. Each one tells a story." His smile was unsettling, as if he relished her fear. Avery backed away, the pie slipping from her trembling hands, the crust and filling splattering against the floor. I think I should go." "Not yet," he spoke softly, a predatory glint in his eye. "You're a part of the story now, Avery. My story." As she dashed past him and out the door, she could feel his presence like a shadow chasing her. The air outside was thick with the scent of rain and dread. She ran all the way home, not daring to look behind her until she was locking the door. For weeks she avoided him, heart racing at the thought of what she'd seen. But the fear grew heavy, like a weight in her chest. Whispers began to circulate in the neighborhood about Mr. Kirby. Neighbors had noticed strange occurrences, people disappearing, odd sounds at night. One evening, emboldened by a mix of fear and anger, Avery gathered her courage and called the police. When they arrived, she explained everything. They exchanged glances, but Mr. Kirby's cottage was empty. The officers searched, but found nothing suspicious. Days turned into weeks, and life returned to normal. Almost. But the sense of unease lingered, especially when she glanced at his house. Then one day, she noticed a "for sale" sign in the yard. Mr. Kirby had vanished, leaving behind the memories he collected. The new neighbor was friendly, with bright eyes and an infectious laugh, but Avery couldn't shake the feeling that the darkness had merely shifted, waiting for someone else to discover its secrets. And as the leaves turned crimson and gold, she realized that sometimes the quietest neighbors hold the loudest horrors.